Welcome to The Dig Deep, the show where we take a look at classic comics, movies, games, and tech, and tell you if they can stand the test of time.
We've spoken to the editors of Screen, Comic Vine, Giant Bomb, and Tested to find out what medias fundamentally inform their love and affection for the subject matters they cover.
But can those medias still hold up today for a new generation of viewers, or have the ravages of time ruined those products' ability to inspire? Let's find out! On this week's episode, we trade comic books for films to talk to Screen.com editor Matt Roy, but the film that would inspire him to run a film website, the 1995 independent comedy Kicking and Screaming.
Not the Will Ferrell movie, right?
Not the Will.
Alright, okay, cool. Directed by first-time filmmaker Noah Baumbach, the film focuses on the lives of four college friends who graduate only to find that they're emotionally incapable of taking the next step into the adult world. Instead, the four friends move back in together, recreating their former college lives while trying not to think about how unbearably sad their lives have become.
So, can Kicking and Screaming still hold up for a generation of college students? Or is the film stuck in its time, place, and buried under the weight of its own idiosyncrasies? Let's check it out.
Yeah?
So Steve, we're basically in the age group where we are perfectly timed to appreciate this movie. The whole point of Kicking and Screaming is that it's these college students who have graduated from college but feel emotionally lost. They don't know what to do with their lives.
Right.
And we're basically done with school too. We're sort of in the same situation.
Yep.
And I don't know how you felt personally, but I felt like that's a very specific time and place still felt extremely poignant, even years after, even the 15 years after this film was released.
Right, yeah, I mean, it's a sentiment that a lot of students, a lot of people in our age group feel. I mean, unless someone who's already born and knows exactly what they're going to do since they were kids, and they want to be, let's say, a doctor or some sort of other physician or whatever.
If they have a career path that leads them directly to a job.
Then yeah, pretty much.
But for a lot of people, it's not a clear path, and I think that's one of the reasons I was able to resonate, even though this film comes from a very specific time and place, a time and place of fax machines and phones and long distance numbers.
And blazers. Lots of blazers.
It's a ton of jackets in that film.
Yeah.
It's a jacket city.
Yeah.
Welcome to Jacket City. Well, we've got all your jackets.
Yeah.
Oh, the other thing that I noticed that I felt made the film stand out all these years later was that specificity and that focus, and how that has crawled into other films, but is still specifically effective in this film. There's a lot of films that have deadpan, straight shots of characters. A lot of independent films about people having very poignant, emotional conversations with each other. And I think this film still does it really well, so it's not crushed under the weight of its influences, which have been many.
Have you seen this film before?
No, first time for me.
Yeah, okay, so it was first time for me too. And I watched it in a horrible hot heat. It's hot right now in the East Bay. Did you watch you watched
It's cool in the city.
Cool in the city?
You should get a terrible tiny attic in the city.
Alright, so first and foremost, my opinions spawned from the fact that I was pretty, not hydrated. I was hot. It was a little humid in my room. So that probably affected my screening experience, because personally I was not bored. I know this movie's really good. It's really funny. There's a lot of quick wit in it, and for the most part, it explains a lot about Rory.
This film is absolutely the representation of Matt Rory. I feel like in each of these characters we see a person who's clearly very intelligent, but who's not necessarily sure of how to best spend it, and who's, in a lot of ways, has been cautioned by life not to spend it so freely, and may get very much consumed by super dumb stuff. Like, one of the themes of the movie is that the four main characters are enamored of game shows, and they have this little game where we're playing game shows and naming all the movies in the Jason franchise. Like, they're super enamored of dumb stuff, even though, for all intents and purposes, shouldn't they be doing more with their lives? And the movie's sort of tangled between those two ideas. Like, these people who are smart enough to know what's good for them, are smart enough to know where they could go with their intelligence, but aren't necessarily able to bring themselves.
Bottom line, this movie was really depressing. I hate watching people not being able to do something with their lives or not feel motivated, so I pretty much took this as essentially I just wouldn't recommend this movie to happy people, maybe to people who don't like doing stuff with their lives.
It's not the idea, Steve, that the people are unhappy, it's the idea that we can relate to them, because people get unhappy, and then one day we all die.
Lady Gaga never dies, though.
She'll be the first.
It'd be a horrible world.
A king with no crown. A king with no crown. That's what we thought about it. Now we've got to toss it back to the person who made us do this in the first place. We're going to go live to here in the future or the past with Matt Rory.
Yeah, we are.
Welcome back. Thanks, us, for throwing to me. I'm joined by the man who inspired this week's episode, Mr. Matthew Rory.
So is this going to be the middle segment of a longer feature?
That's right.
Okay.
It's the middle segment.
You didn't tell me that, but then you said welcome back, and I got it from context.
Now you understand.
Now I understand.
Now you know more than anyone else.
Oh, my goodness.
Matt Rory, you
Matt
told us that the movie, one of the movies, that would inspire you to pursue movie going and movie watching and movie criticism and run a website like Screen.com was the 1995 film, Kicking and Screaming.
Indeed.
Do you think that that movie is so rooted in the technology and technological constraints of the 90s that making that kind of movie today presents a lot of problems? So much of that movie revolves around people who aren't able to get into contact with other people at certain times and people who don't have things to do. And, you know, it would be interesting to that kind of movie. If you remade that movie, I bet it would not be as effective.
You can't listen to your voicemail on your cell phone all the time, and
And you're not going to wring any affection by checking that Facebook message from the girl
Yeah,
from Prague.
that's true.
Because you can see the pictures she's posting from Prague.
I don't know. That's actually a good point. I hadn't thought about that. Movies of the last 20 years, the internet as a whole has made so many films of that early 90s kind of, you know, just like, I don't know how you'd make that film. If you were making it now, would you just set it in 1995?
I wonder how many films you could find where the main plot thread would be totally ruined if the characters had cell phones.
Or a smartphone, yeah. I'm sure you can find quite a bit. But then again, the cliche is, you know, I'm just not getting any fucking service out here.
Oh.
Kind of bullshit. It wouldn't work for Kicking and Screaming if you were to make it today.
The way that the ending occurred, the way in which Grover like has this moment of inspiration, like spots something that nags him, he goes and he makes his impassioned speech. He can find his way on the
Very
plane,
good.
but of course he doesn't have his passport.
Yeah.
And he takes the time and it does it's as much about the director's sort of very deadpan, very much just focusing on the character as it is Grover's acting in that
Yeah.
scene. But it's very much a situation where you as the audience can intuit very clearly he's not coming back. I'm not sure he's coming back tomorrow.
No,
like he could.
Definitely,
But
definitely meant to be. Yeah.
I feel like he
had his moment for passion.
and it disappeared because of reality, because of the rules of the world.
That's why. You know why? You know what I do? Just in case I never do a problem.
Do you always bring your? Is that because of the movie?
No, I lost my ID. That's what I needed to get in the bars and stuff. But there's also the other ending with him and Jane on the street. And
Right,
I find
right.
that just very affecting. Like I hope tomorrow we still feel the same way as we do right now.
And I wish we could have known each other for years and years.
Yeah.
I want to be able to interact with you like I've been interacting with you for years.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that 10 years later? I feel like at the moment, that is an extremely poignant wish to have for someone just getting out of college, just entering the real world, wishing that the relationships they had with the world around them were as strong and firm as they were in those 4 years of concentrated access to each other.
Yeah, it's a weird statement to make as a 22-year-old. I mean, whose relationships when they start when they're 21 actually last? I mean, it's a weird thing to wish for something like that. But it's a very romantic thing to say as well. I mean, it's kind of an expression. The movie has a weird arc for Grover as kind of a cynic, you know, broke up with his girlfriend and kind of he descends into romanticism, which is a weird arc for him to go. Obviously, parts of that's flashbacks as well. But it's a weird kind of arc for him to go through. He goes through, you know, sensuality and you know, a little bit of realism, and then just kind of becomes this, you know, I really miss this one woman. I wish I could get back to her. The movie again is very touching, but I also think the humor in it is still sharp as a whip at times too. Like I love just some of the lines always make me crack. The Cookie Man thing, the Chet. I love the conversation with Chet at the bar. Between Grover and Chet just drinking, you know, I like that you drink, Chet, otherwise I feel like you can get poisoned. The stuff about the international code being too long, you want to make God laugh, make a plan. All these, it's really sharp, and apparently Eric Stoltz's part was only thrown into the film at the last minute because in order to make the film, they had to raise a budget, and apparently back in the day, Eric Stoltz would get you. If you have Eric Stoltz in your film, it must be, you know, an indie film. He's actually very prominently displayed on the poster, even though he's only in the film for, you know, a good 10 I'm just riffing.
Yeah, well, that's what we're doing. Matt Roy, thank you so much for taking some time to talk to us. Okay, awesome. That's it. We're going to throw it back to us in the studio. Take it away, us. That's it for me, and that's it for us, Steve.
Yeah.
Join us next week where I'll show you how to flambe a steak.
And I will show you how to dance mariachi.
Or we'll do what we did this, but for something different.
Yeah.